everybody, welcome back to Daytoday Chess. This is Sabina, and don't worry, this is the correct YouTube channel. I've decided to introduce a new topic, the Endgame or Study Explained. I've named it Season Up Your Sundays to kick up the week with an Endgame Study Explained. I know I'm not the best poet, but after about an hour of brainstorming, I've decided to stick to this idea. So if you have better topic names for me, please feel free to share them in the comments or send me an email about how to name this. But the idea is that every single Sunday, I would like to focus a little bit more on endgames as well. Not only the games throughout and everything, but also focus on the endgames because they are such an important part of a chess game, and every single chess player needs to be familiarized with endgames. And mixing endgames with studies, so basically having a study that is an endgame, definitely helps a lot because it brings out new ideas of how to play endgames when you have more material, how you save endgames, or how to win endgames, depending on each single position. So I really hope you enjoyed this new theme, and I'm planning on keeping it for Sundays from now on because I think it's a great new addition to my YouTube channel. If you have different opinions, again, please write me in the comments, and I'll try to utilize as much as I can to improve and evolve with my YouTube channel. Other than that, let me start with today's endgame study. And it's a courtesy of Mark Dvoretsky, who I hope you all know about him. He's considered to be one of the best coaches in the world, or trainers or coaches in the world. He has worked with Yusupov and other top chess players and helped them become top grandmasters. So, giving that, thank you very much, Mark Dvoretsky, for putting this position in one of your books and also in your Endgame Corner on chesscafe.com. So now let me explain it to you, and also make sure you pause the video when you feel like you want to just not have my explanation and just try to figure it out yourself either from the start or from a specific point on. Okay. So here's the position. It is black to move, and black should make a draw. So that's all I'm telling you. Pause the video. This is your last chance before I start explaining. Alrighty. So what do we see in this position? Well, it seems that the pawns on the king side are really very symmetrical, 100% symmetrical. On the queen side, however, it seems that black's pawn is a little bit more advanced. Yet, what do we notice? That these kings are staying on two mind squares, and this is the way Mark Dvoretsky names them, and I like to utilize that term as well. We used to utilize that in Romania when I was a kid, and the idea is that whoever is going to leave from this square is actually going to blow out. I'm kidding. This expression should not be used in videos, but the idea is that whoever is going to move the king is going to lose their pawn because there's no square around their pawn that they can go on to keep that pawn protected. So, for example, if in this position black would just play king c6, he would be losing immediately because white just captures the pawn. As you can see, there's no passed pawn on the king side, so black has to start moving the king, and we're playing basically king pawn versus king in this position. And check, king c5, and now white has the entrance by going to d6, and he has the possibility of going and massacring all the pawns on the king side. Oh, after king d8, c7, king c8. Now if he wants, he can play king e7 and start winning all of those pawns, or he can also play king c6, and don't worry, it is not a stalemate because black still has the opportunity of starting to move these pawns on the king side. So for example, if he plays h5, we can go h4. At some point, black will get rid of his moves. He will have to give away some material, and then white is simply going to win. So let's just say h4. We take that pawn, and for example, now black would play f6, let's say. Okay, we leave that pawn. We can just play in this position g6, and if you take, don't worry, we're not going to play g7 and have you in a stalemate. We can, for example, just play king d6, give you the move, and white is simply winning. So probably other moves are finishing the game even much faster with mate, like for example f3 if you want to be really fancy. Pawn takes f3, now we go g7 and g8 queen, and white is winning beautifully, or maybe even rook if you want to be fancy. But anyways, that's not the point of this position. The point is to understand that the king cannot move because they are on mine square, so whoever moves first is going to lose. The same thing, exactly same thing would happen if it would be white's turn in this position and he would have to move the king. So now we look on the other side of the board and we try to understand why is it that we have so many pawns. Well, because we have to start moving them and realize which of these pawns would help us give the move to the opponent so that the opponent has to move the king out of this mine square and then give the point to the other side. So, okay, we have a bunch of opportunities here with black. f6, f5, g6, g5, h6, h5. Six moves, aside from moving the king, that could lead to a draw possibly, or to us losing. So let's take the most natural one, maybe f6, thinking that, oh, we want to trade the pawn too and win some material. Unfortunately, this move does not work because white will simply capture back, threatening of course to push the pawn or capturing g7. So you have to take back. You can't just play king d6, for example, because I'll take in g7. Now it seems that black has so many moves with the pawns. He's got e5, f5, and then f4, and this pawn can go h6, h5, and white doesn't have that many. In fact, he has, because he's going to play g4, stopping you from playing f5. As soon as you play f5 with black, we realize that there are two pawns versus one on this side, so white immediately is going to play g5, remaining with 2 versus 1, whereas your 3 versus these two are not going to do anything. For example, if e5, we simply push, and if f4, of course we're not taking here, God forbid, to lose the game with white, because pawn takes, and when you play h5, I push, you take, you go for the queen, but I'm the first one who promotes in this position, and here black simply mates into moves, queen b1 check, and queen a2 mate. So definitely we would not be doing this. Instead, after h4, f4, of course, we do not touch these two pawns. We simply play h5 in this position, preparing g6, and if black takes or pushes, simply the position gets blocked. Now he has no more moves, and white is going to go for g6, winning the game. So, going back to f6, this move does not win does not keep the draw for black. So, he's losing. Therefore, let's try f5. What's happening after f5 is pretty much the same thing, simply taking en passant, and we have exactly the same line. There's no point to go again over it. After capture, g4, very good move. White restricting two of black's possibilities in that position, and white would be simply winning. There's a line that I believe I didn't show. For example, if black would play h6 in this position, white would play h4, and here, for example, if you play e5, thinking, ooh, I tricked you, you cannot play g5 now, I didn't play f5, well, I have h5 blocking the position, and now you will have to give material with f5, or move the king, and then we have exactly the same line where I'm winning your pawn and simply winning the game. So f6 and f5 do not work in this position, so let's try g6. g6 seems like an interesting idea because we're just moving one pawn at a time. So if let's say white would play g3 to kind of play the same as we do, we would think, oh, maybe we have some chances. Well, unfortunately we don't, because if we play h5, white will also play h4, blockading our pawns. We don't have this break with f6. As soon as we push this pawn, there's no more f6 going on here because white just captures and wins the game. So after g6, white can win multiple ways, either playing g3 or playing h4, and g5 is not possible. I'm just basically taking all their opportunities, and I have g3 and g4 here. For example, if h6, I play g4, and white is winning. So g6, again, we take it out of our calculations. So let's look at g5 now. Well, g5, we basically give away this possibility of playing f6 because we cannot recapture with a pawn. So white can simply blockade your pawn. You don't have h5 because of course we just capture and the pawn goes for the queen. And if you play h6 in this position, what is happening? White plays h3 and black is out of normal moves that he wouldn't be losing. He has to move the king, and we've already seen this line. On this side is basically the same thing happening every single time. So g6, f6, g5 or f5 do not work. Let's try this h6 here, see maybe it's better, but it's about the same as g6. Although you still have the possibility of playing f6, white can simply play g4 here, and although you have the pawn, it doesn't really help you much, because here when you play f6, white captures, is the same as before, and now plays h4, and basically if you play e5, there's h5, if you play f5, there's g5. So no more moves for black in this position. So we have basically taken out all the possible moves that seem to be good for black. So we only have one more that hopefully works, because otherwise we are just losing this. So h5 is the correct move and good move in this position for black to give him the opportunity to have chances to make a draw. And of course, he keeps the possibility to play f6. This is very important. And now, attention, attention, if white plays h4, black actually would be winning in this position. Very beautiful. He's actually attracting white to play this move, because now he has this g5 amazing move, attacking the pawn. If you play g3, saying, oh, I'm defending here, well, yes, you are, but now I have this tempo move. I'm stopping you from playing f3, and now you have to move with your king, and I take in c4, and we basically have that entrance or the mate like we've seen previously. So black is winning here. So this would be a super sweet trick that he would want to get from this position after h4 to play g5. And of course, if white captures in g5, which move would we do? This beautiful h4. In case g3, I have that passed pawn. In case g6, we're just winning. So, of course, white has to find a good move here, because otherwise he's going to run out of moves. That's why in this position, white's only possibility is h3. Everything else actually loses. f3, simply like we saw earlier, just now with reverse colors. Black plays h4, and now he has g6, g5 to win this game. And if white, instead of f3, would be playing g3, we have this f6. We saw this before. We have now e4, e5 and f5, and when you play h3, we play f5 first to stop you from playing g4, and when you play h4, we go e5, and white is in Zugzwang. Okay, so now g3, white's only move to try to, keep the game going is h3. And now, again, we have to be very careful with black, because any move that we play, white could blockade our position. So now we see the importance of playing this f6 move, because g6 allows g4, and if takes, not take back, but which move? h4, stopping any g5, any g3, and white is winning. Same thing happens for g5, g3, and whichever pawn you move, I move the other one, and you're in Zugzwang. And if you play h4, I still play g3, and if g5, we can play, I'm sorry, not f4, but g4. So white is winning. Okay, so the only move that stays is f6, like I mentioned, and now white plays h4. Of course, if we would take, we already saw this position before, there's no point to reconsider it. h4, and in this position, black takes in e5. White plays g4, a very important move, because after g3, g6, white is in Zugzwang, and after f3, we simply take, and now we play e4, and you're actually, if you capture in e4, I play e5, and you are in Zugzwang, and if you play f4 in this position, I play g6, and again, you have to give away the material or move the king. So after g4, g6, g5, it seems that white is winning, right? Well, no, this is not winning. Pause the video and try to find the end of the study, at least, if you haven't seen it by now. King d6 is the right move, and if king takes b4, we play king c6, and when white finally finds the right way to win this game, we are playing an amazing move, king d5, and you cannot promote because after king b5 it's stalemate. Stay tuned for more!